Hi everyone, welcome back to another video in the making of Mafia. So previously we talked about the different actions that can be taken on the front end and on the back end. Previously to that we talked about the data layout and what goes in database and tech stack that we chose and why. So for this video we're going to talk about the planning of the different screens that the user sees. And then, depending on how long that takes, we might jump into the coding directly. But this is the probably last video on planning before we get into the coding bits. Hope you enjoy, and as always, just drop a subscribe or a like if you like. And any questions, just ask in the comments. Alrighty, so screen planning. What does the user see when they open up the app? So when they open up the app, we already have parts of the app created for the single player mode, the help file, but this is just mostly focused on the multiplayer component. So when they open up the multiplayer component, they're going to see an option to starting screen. They can enter their name or edit their name actually, because their current name will be displayed. There will be a create game button. There will be a room text box, and then a join game button. So fairly simple, fairly straightforward. They can either create a game or they can join a game, and they can edit the name that's being used as well. And then the status text area for any updates, that's just going to show underneath all that. It'll be updated dynamically. So when they create a game, what happens then? They're going to be given a room ID that they can share with their friends. And there's a listing of players in the room. Originally, it'll be just themselves in the room, but then as more players join, they can see who has joined. And then there's also an option to start game with a minimum of 5 players. Start game button. So the reason why we have the listing of the players in the room is so that the creator knows how many people have joined. For example, if they're expecting 10 friends to show up, and only 9 has joined, they don't want to start the game just yet because then that player won't be able to join. So that's the create a game screen. For the joining a game, it's going to go directly into the game screen. So this will be from create game or join game start. So if they join a game, they're going to go into a waiting area. So join game. It's going to be a waiting area, and then again we have the given the room ID so that they can share with their friends as well. So for example, if I invite Zhang and Chen to a game, Chen might know Wu and wants to invite her to a game as well. So therefore, the room ID is available for everyone. Another reason why it's available for everyone here and easily displayed is it's not really a security concern, because if you join the room, you already know the room ID. So it doesn't hurt to just remind you of it and have it super convenient for you to reshare as well. And that's the waiting area. So they can't really do anything if they're just joining a game, because they have to wait for the creator to start the game. So once they've started the game, all the players would now jump to the game screen. So there's an initial screen, which shows the roles of all the players, and perhaps optionally we'll also show a description of role and actions. So that way people can get reminded of it, but for returning players it might get a bit repetitive. They get hit by a wall of text every time they, I guess, get assigned a role because they've already played the game. So that's just still to be decided. But that's going to be the initial screen. The initial screen will show you the roles and what your role does. It doesn't show the roles of anyone else because that's a secret. And then we have game phases. So here at the top, we're going to have the current phase. Night, day, killer, police, etc. And then and then the player list, who's alive and dead. And then depending on the role, you can have certain actions. So for example, if it's depends on the role and stage. So for example, if it's during the killer's turn and you're one of the killers, you can perform an action such as selecting someone to kill. Someone who's already, I guess, who's currently alive. But if you're not the killer and you're just, say, the police or the villager or anyone else, and it's the killer's turn, then you don't see any actions there. And then from there, optional timer. So generally, the turn will go forward once everyone has completed their actions, or if the game creator pushes the stage forward, or there could be a timer that's set in advance. For example, killers only get 1 minute, discussion gets 5 minutes, but sometimes the timers don't always. If you're playing with random people, the timers are very useful because in that case, if someone's away from keyboard or wants to annoy all the other players by just not taking any actions, then the game is kind of stuck. If there's a timer, it forces the game to move forward. Now, the downside of the timer is if the timer is very short, then some discussions might not get to its intended consequence. And the reason why I'm creating this game instead of one of those other games like Among Us, for example, is, well, one, Among Us is actually a game that's already probably copyrighted already, but two, is that I want a game with more discussion where it's more about the people and not just the actions that you take and about guessing. So, for example, if you set it to 1 minute, it may not be enough time for everyone to discuss and really get their hearts out. If you set it for, say, 15 minutes, that might be too long. And again, if you have that one player who wants to annoy everyone, then, well, waiting 15 minutes for every action is still going to be very annoying. So I'm leaning towards the game owner being able to take an action to move the phase forward. So under the current phase, if owner can progress phase. So either a button, which is fairly obvious, or an option drop down, because we don't really need this button to be taking up valuable screen real estate space. And for most games, I don't think the game creator needs to push the game forward like that. People will just take their actions because, well, you're all friends anyways. So that's kind of how, I guess, the game screens is set up. And from there, it'll just keep on going until the game is over. So that's more on the game logic side and not really on the, I guess, user interface, user experience side. So I would say that's probably all the screens that need to be made. So it's a starting screen, a create game screen, a join game screen, and then probably 5 or 6 of these game screens. So game screen listing will probably be game start, nighttime, daytime. So the nighttime is just to tell everyone to close their eyes or, hey, it's time to take action. And then there's the killer's turn, police turn, and then daytime where they can choose to discuss and kick player. So those are the different game screens. It's probably, well, and also a game over screen. So there's a total of 6 game screens plus 3 other screens, so there's 9 screens total. So it's not too bad. The main thing is maintaining the state within the game. And let's see how we are on time. We're currently at 10 minutes, so it's not too bad. We'll save this for the next live video in terms of the coding. So next video, coding begins. Try to see more, but also the next video as for when, maybe tonight, maybe later. To be honest, whenever I have time to write code is when I do the live streams as well, so it's kind of pretty random, to be honest. But all the live streams are still recorded on the channel, so you can always look back to see what's there. But yeah, I look forward to seeing y'all at the next video.